Hello guys, welcome to your next video. We are now moving on to our next unit, Unit 2, Ratios and Proportions. So you should have all picked up a tab divider. Remember, it is one that you glue on the front and the back. So you need to fold on the middle of the 3 lines, and then you are going to put glue on the entire thing. And then you will glue it so it either sticks out like a tab where the first line lines up with the edge of the paper, or you can do the folded line lines up with the edge of the paper. It's really your call. And then make sure you glue it to the front and the back. Make sure you can read it. It needs to be face up. Don't glue it upside down, because if you glue this on the back page, it'll be glued upside down. So make sure this is on the front page, and then once it's glued, you can write down Unit 2, Ratios and Proportions. And then this is your page. If you want to color, doodle, draw anything on here, go for it. It is your page. Nothing will get written on here. This is everything we're going to learn for this unit. So we'll be talking about writing ratios, equivalent ratios, unit rates, proportional versus non-proportional, ratio tables, ratio graphs, solving proportions, solving proportional word problems, converting fractions, decimals, and percents, percent proportion, percent equation, percent change, and circle graphs. When we're done with all that, we will take a test over it all, but it will take us a little while to get through everything. So, you should have then also picked up another pink sheet of paper that looks like this. You can cut it. Notice I cut off the title on this one, and I just wrote in ratios and equivalent ratios. If you do not want to do that, you do not have to do that. That is your choice, but make sure you please date it up at the top. And you can glue it directly to the back of the page that you put the tab divider on, just like I did. That way we're not wasting any paper at all. So once you have glued everything down, you can get started on your notes until you've glued everything down. Pause this video, glue everything down, get your notebook all situated, and then we will be ready to go. So once you're ready, unpause the video and get started again. So, ratios and equivalent ratios. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers or quantities. So it is a comparison of two numbers or quantities. A ratio can be written in 3 different ways. It can be written as a fraction. It can be written with a colon, which looks like this, or with the word to. Those are the 3 ways that you will see it written. Fraction and colon are the most common, but you can write it with a ratio as well. So a lot of students are like, well, ratio is a fraction is a ratio. Yes, they're very, very similar, but they are technically different. So a ratio compares different types of units, meaning like miles and hours. They are comparing your miles and your hours. Or words and minutes. They're comparing the number of words and minutes, number of minutes. So it's comparing 2 different units, 2 different things that you are tacking onto numbers, your labels essentially. While a fraction compares part versus whole of the same unit. This is what you get on quizzes and tests. You get a part of the whole on a quiz. You got 5 right out of 10. You got 8 right out of 10. They're the same unit. You're talking about the same thing. But it is a part of a whole, where a ratio, it's 2 separate things that you are discussing. But like I said, they do look and sound very, very similar. So some things that they have in common is they can compare same types of units. And then they can also look the same. meaning they look like a fraction, x over y, or whatever numbers, 1 over 2, 5 over 10, 6 over 8, 4 over 3. Doesn't matter, they can look the same. So here I need to be able to write a ratio for each phrase. So it says 5 cupcakes for every 2 children. I want you to write it all 3 ways. So if I have 5 cupcakes to every 2 children, I need to write it in all 3 ways. I write it in the order in which I read. So 5 cupcakes, fraction line, 2 children. I write it in the order I read. So then it would be 5 cupcakes, colon, 2 children. And then I would write 5 cupcakes to 2 children. Those are the 3 ways in which you can write a ratio. So do that for 9 dogs for every 10 cats, give me the 3 ways. 3 blue marbles to 4 green marbles, give me the 3 ways. Last thing we need to talk about / review is simplifying fractions. I need to make sure that you can write each fraction in simplest form. These are what we also call equivalent fractions. They mean the same thing. So whether it is simplified or expanded or whatnot, they are the same. So if I want to simplify 10 over 12, I take whatever is the same out of 10 and 12 and I divide it out. So I see 10 and 12, well I can put a 2 into both, so I'll divide both by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So my simplified version is 5/6. Okay, I could also then make it bigger, meaning if I can divide by 2, I could also do 10/12 and I could times it by 2. Now that's not simplifying it, but it's an equivalent fraction or an equivalent ratio. So 10 times 2 is 20, 12 times 2 is 24. So 10, 12, 5, 6, and 20 24ths are all equivalent ratios. They are all equivalent fractions. They mean the exact same thing. If you got a 20 out of 24 on a test, it's the same grade as getting a 5 out of 6 on a test, or a 10 out of 12 on a test. You get the exact same grade with all 3 fractions because their decimals and their percents are exactly the same. Okay, so I want you guys, for the rest of your homework, to simplify 8 halves, 3 15ths, 12 40ths, and then I want you to come up with one other equivalent fraction or equivalent ratio, just like we did here. I times it by 2, but you do not have to. You can multiply it by 3, by 4, by 5, by 10, by 20. It doesn't really matter what you multiply it by because it is always going to be an equivalent ratio as long as whatever you do to the top is the same thing you do to the bottom, or whatever you do to the bottom is exactly what you're going to do to the top. You have to stay consistent. It's that rule, whatever you do to the top, you must do to the bottom. So hopefully you remember that from elementary school. But those are our notes for today. Finish up the 5 problems that we did not do. Make sure you follow all directions so I can give you your full credit in class. And then I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.